Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be getting back into our normal routine of doing some Pega studying, some video uploads, and then um, we'll be doing some Warframe later on tonight. Um, so yeah. First thing that I want to cover though, if you're like brand new to the whole, um, my Pega streams or the Pega portion of my streams, um, I normally give you know a beginning intro on here in that I don't get any kind of benefit from Pega itself. For uh, This is for my own benefit. I'm trying to work towards getting my own certifications on it. So, um, the only communication that I have with Pega is when I send in recommendations for them to change, you know, suggestions to change their websites and stuff like that. That's about it. So, um, that's all the communication that I really hold with them. So, um, another thing to note, um, if you're thinking that what I'm doing right now is some form of authorized training or some form of instructor-led training, get that out of your mind as well because I'm neither of them. Okay, I'm not an authorized training partner, and I'm definitely not an instructor. This is not meant to be an instructor-led training. Um, you know, I would expect if you did go for the instructor-led training, which obviously costs quite a bit of money to take, that way you would get a lot more out of these particular videos than what I can provide. Okay. I'm covering the topics and the challenges and, putting in my little 2 cents from time to time into the full-on studying. So, um, so use it as a helpful tool in your own studying if you want. Feel free to ask any kind of questions that you may ask. I may try to answer them, but um, if I don't know the answer to them, then I will do what I can to find an answer, or I will talk with those that I know that might have, you know, that might have the answer themselves. So just want to kind of put that out there, okay? Because, like I said, I'm currently working on my system architect certification. I may take the business architect certification as well, seeing that they're pretty much go hand in hand for the most part. Both of these two missions here are essentially the same missions, or not essentially, they are the same missions. So there's no difference between these two missions here. The only difference between this is the fact that, the business architect has these two additional modules, okay, that are not covered in the system architect. So these two modules are, specific to the business architect. So we'll cover those as soon as we're done with the two missions. And then, for those of you that are, working towards your business architect certification, there you go. That's something to kind of aim for. Um, I'm debating whether or not to do the senior system architecture mission as well. I've heard that it can be quite helpful in studying for the system architect. I don't really know. Technically, it shouldn't matter. Um, you should be able to still take the certification, um, without needing to go into the senior system architect. But at the same time, every little bit of understanding of the system of Pega, is helpful for you in the long run. So I could see some benefits out of this as well. Okay, so but let's go ahead and get into the system architect. We're getting near the very end of the last two missions from last time. Again, I apologize for being away for a couple days. I had a head cold that kind of lingered for a while. Um, so wasn't really feeling um, quite. I wasn't feeling like 100%. So I didn't want to come in and be confused or anything along those lines. Okay, I know um, if you've been away from like doing anything on a particular like coding basis or anything along those lines, you do have that um, potential for not remembering or your chops um, get rusty. Um, so hopefully those of you that are still watching these, you're still kind of keeping up with everything that is going on. So okay, so we only have the module and the challenge. So um, the, supposedly this is 10 minutes long, 5 and 5. So we'll see how long it takes for us to kind of get through these particular topics. So, but it looks like there's a lot on this one. So, you know, especially when there's a lot of these um, extra information there. So, but users and personas. Applications have users, although not all users perform the same tasks. For example, service representative users may access different interfaces and features of your application than a client user accesses. Pega Platform provides a user management feature to help you organize the users of your application into personas that share common application, security, and assignments. Assigning users to appropriate personas in order is only one aspect of securing an application. For a complete list of security leading practices, consult the Security Checklist Awareness module and the Security Checklist for Pega Platform deployment. Obviously, as you can see, there was a couple links there that you can check. Kind of wish that they would have the links just visually show anyway, but whatever. Personas and channel interfaces. A persona is a business representation of a type of user. Personas allow the organization to identify unique needs for application users, which could include different user interfaces to meet those needs. For example, an organization may define a persona to represent a technician who needs a user interface that supports performing service tasks. In App Studio, you can add a new persona by clicking Users, and then user management, and adding a persona in the persona tab. Once the new persona is created, you can then assign it to two users as well as further configure the application to meet the persona's needs. Uh, Organizations may create multiple personas to reflect different marketing approaches that may not impact application or case design. So, um, so for example, you might have um, you might want to like create personas for like customer service rep 1, customer service rep 2 kind of thing as like, different levels of or tiers of what um, what a uh, what a user could potentially like, go up in level potentially, but they might still have the same exact like they still might like be functioning within the same like application kind of thing. It's just their manager might have them try to look at more. or they might have to look at more cases, or they might need to kind of look at, some cases that are a little bit more challenging, or whatever, right? So that's what they're kind of talking about there. So in Pega platform, users interface are also called channel interfaces because the needs of different users require access to different application features. You can configure different personas and channel interfaces. For example, in healthcare application, patients and doctors must be able to perform different tasks. Patients can check records and schedule appointments. Doctors can review patient records, prescriptions, and add follow-up comments for patients after office visits. Define different personas for patients and doctors so that individual users with the appropriate persona specified can see the correct channel interface and access the desired application features. You know, for example, it would be kind of odd for, the patient to be able to record prescriptions, for example. It's like, this patient can suddenly, um, you know, create their own prescription. It's like, hey, I want this particular medication right now. Forget what my doctor says. I want that medication right now, and no one else can say otherwise. It's like, wait, what? Not exactly. That one and that obviously work very well. To have like a channel interface along those lines given to a patient, or at least I would hope that would be the case. In the following image, click the plus icons to examine how personas can capture interaction needs for different types of users to influence case and application design. Okay, so customers. Why there's multiple sets here, I don't really know, but let's see what they say. Okay, customers. Organizations may develop multiple customer personas based on marketing needs. If these personas interact with an application or case in the same manner, you can consolidate these personas for application development. With Pega Platform, developers can modify and model individual microjourneys to reflect each persona's needs. Developers can then create interface channels that differentiate customers from managers and other user roles. Also, developers can create a mobile app that provides a consistent user experience with a web-based channel. Okay. Oh, they're showing like the different customers for some reason. All right. Carl's a 47-year-old married father of three children. Carl's most comfortable managing his account by calling an ISCorp call center. Carl anticipates needing to update his coverage over the next 3 to 7 years as his children learn to drive and wants to control the cost of his insurance policy. Needs telephone access to a customer service representative in the ISCorp call center. Okay, good luck with getting that. Customer. Dawn is a 27-year-old customer who wants to insure a single vehicle. Dawn prefers to update her policy herself using a mobile app rather than calling a customer service representative or using the ISCorp website, a mobile app for initiating policy management tasks. All right. Customer. Tracy is a 35-year-old single mother of two young children. I mean, what does this have to do anything? Tracy prefers to manage her account during non-business hours, resuming business hours for her job and childcare. Tracy wants to manage her policy in the ISCorp website rather than place a call uh, to an ISCorp call center and speak to a customer service representative. Needs seamless access to the policy management application from the ISCorp website. What does the first sentence have to do with anything? It's just unnecessary fluff. Unnecessary fluff. All right. Customer service. Brad is, it's representative, but still. Brad is the customer service representative for ISCorp. Actually, let me see if I can. Nope, it doesn't increase the size of the window there. Sorry there, folks. Can't see the full title there. Brad is the customer service representative for his corp. Brad answers calls from customers who want to make changes to insurance policies such as updating coverage. Brad also receives assignments from a common work queue, for instance, when a customer initiates a policy change from the ISCORP website. Access to a common work queue to access cases regardless of who created the case. Web-based channel for opening and processing cases. Okay, territory manager. Dave is a territory manager of ISCORP. Dave manages relationships with repair facilities, which provides estimates for covering vehicles and an insurance claim. Dave needs to create cases to add repair facilities to the repair network maintained by ISCORP. Dave also spends 50% of his month out of the office traveling. He prefers to use a tablet when using the application. Web-based channel for enrolling new vendors, a mobile channel for use when traveling, custom dashboard with vendor-related metrics. Auditors. Aaron is an internal auditor who is assigned to review application activity for possible instances of fraud. Aaron requires access to specific reports that are not intended for other users and does not participate in case processing. A web-based portal for running reports on cases. And then the managers. Karen is Karen, of course. Karen is the manager for ISCORP who is responsible for increasing positive outcomes from new customer engagement and maintaining satisfaction among existing customers. Yeah, imagine providing positive outcomes for existing customers. So just to let people know, it's really. I'm gonna interject something in here a little bit. I find it very interesting when you see these companies that are like going, "Hey, we're doing a brand new deal, let's do this brand new deal, we'll allow for maybe the first month for new customers to be, you know, like $3 or something like that, but the rest of the time you have to spend 15, right? What about the existing customers? Sure, you brought them in, but where's the love for like existing customers? You know, um, most that I normally see is, hey, congratulations on being with us for, you know, so many years. Guess what? We're going to increase your prices. It's like, okay, and that's loyalty for you, right? It's like, wouldn't you want it to be like the other way around? Hey, congratulations on being a customer, and helping us pay our wages for so many years. We would love to keep you on. So, as for the loyalty that you're giving us, we're going to go ahead and maybe reduce your price down by like $1 or something like that. You would think, right? You know, show some love back to, you know, your loyal customers. Not so much that, not too much of that nowadays, isn't there? I don't know. I'm just saying stuff out loud. I'm just seeing a lot of stuff that's like, um, corporations with, millions, if not billions of profits. Okay. I'm not talking, you know, uh, uh, I'm not talking about, just normal operation cost. Okay. Because they're probably making, and they probably need to make a lot to handle their operating costs or something like that if they're making a million or billions in profit, right? They have a lot to kind of deal with. But here's the thing. You're making a million or billions of dollars in profit, then, is any of that going to your workers at all? Is any of that going back to your customers at all? Probably not. It's going to the shareholders because they need to make money, right? Yeah. Karen is manager for Risk Corp, who is responsible for increasing positive outcomes. Karen wants to ensure that customer service representatives perform their assignments on time and reduce turnaround time on claims. Access to cases routed for approvals, a dashboard presenting performance metrics, a web-based channel for opening and processing cases. When you create an application, Pega platform provides one default persona: users. Users are case participants that are responsible for creating and solving cases. Create additional personas when a unique combination of channel interface responsibilities, permissions, and work routing requires differentiation from an existing persona. When you create a new persona, Pega Platform creates default permissions and work queue for the persona. You can modify the permissions and work queue and create and customize a dedicated channel interface. Associate a persona to the channel interfaces that best satisfy the needs of the persona. Multiple personas can share a channel interface if appropriate. For example, the user's persona shows the user portal channel as an interface, which is shared with the customer service representative manager and service provider personas. Right. So as you can see, here's your different personas, and they're all using the same channel, the same user portal channel, which you could change, but configure persona and channel access for each stage in the case lifecycle. A user is an individual who interacts with the application. In App Studio, create a new user with an email address and assign them a persona or developer role by clicking Users, User Management, People. Individuals invited to an application are assigned a developer role so that they can execute the tasks required to fulfill their job job duties. Okay, well, already we're having a little bit of an issue where uh, in Pega Platform, a persona is a broad user group created in App Studio that includes an associated role. A role is accessible in Dev Studio and that identifies the specific tasks a user is allowed to perform in an application. Each persona created in App Studio has an associated role, but not every role has an associated persona. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to see how you invite users to the application and assign them the persona of testers. So invite users to the application, have their email address. You select, what kind of, um, persona to give, and then you add them, which then would kind of go right down in here and all that. Or you can come on over here and you invite people to your application in this link there. So manager, territory, and tester, so on and so forth. So, all right. Creating generic account names such as admin is not best practice. All user accounts should be unique to a specific person. Indeed. Um, so here's the problem with the whole um, one one user account, right? So let's say that you have uh, one user account for like 5 different people, right? For one thing, What happens if everybody tries to access that particular one account all at the same time? You know, um, does that kick out, the previous user that was using it? What happens to, what they were working on at that particular moment in time? Um, you know, uh, I'm not quite sure, but it's still, you know, you have to be careful with that, right? So like, if you log into an account kind of thing, and someone else logs in to that same account, you know, more often than not, at least in other systems out there, the person that was originally in that account gets kicked out. Okay, they get locked out. They basically say, okay, well, this person logged in, so you have to go, that kind of thing, right? Um, it's like, think of it this way. Let's say, um, you use like you use your driver's license to get into like a club or something like that. Hey, my name is John Smith. I'm coming into this club, and I'm gonna have a good time in this club, right? Well, someone comes along and somehow has the same exact driver's license, comes in and says, I'm John Smith. I want to access this club. Well, the bouncer's going to go, oh, okay, then you must be the correct John Smith. I got to kick that other John Smith out. That kind of thing. That's as an example, right? They go in, grab that first John Smith, toss him out of the club, and now that second John Smith is, inside the club having a good time. You um, as just to kind of give an idea as to what potentially could happen, right? Here's the other downside of having one particular user that everybody can access, right? If someone is making changes to the application using that one single profile, they'll never know who made those changes. Okay, if five people has access to that like admin profile, for example, okay, and you have one person that changes the application in some way, like maybe um, they add some new input for the user, right, to put into their um, um, case type, right? And then the second person comes on in, into the admin, okay, and deletes some of that, delete some of those portions, even though the first one might have been like, we absolutely need it. Second person comes on in and goes, oh, these are these aren't needed here. We got to delete this, right? First person comes on back and goes, what the hell happened? Okay, and basically looks at the other four and goes, I didn't do this. What? Or maybe the third person comes on in and goes, wait, first person, what happened to your changes? Why aren't they there? First, it causes a lot of confusion, okay? Because there's going to be records of like, hey, admin added all this information. Admin deleted said information. It's like, you know, who are you going to talk to, right? If you have like 30 people or something like that using the same exact account, then, what happens? You know, who are you going to talk to? Okay, it doesn't really allow for um, any kind of information as to who did what if they're using the same exact account. So so if you're if you're a um, if you're a lead, if you're a manager, whatever, make sure that you have unique users for every person that comes onto your team. So you might you might give them like a default to start off with to maybe like look around the system maybe, but don't let them keep it, or um, don't allow them to make any like major changes or anything along those lines, because um, here's another thing that could happen. If they're like, maybe you have like 30 people using the same exact admin, and one person is like, you know, mentally thinking, hey, I'm gonna quit tomorrow, but I'm gonna sabotage everything. They go into admin, they like start, you know, putting crap in or something like that. They start messing up with the application. They seriously just, you know, destroy the application, kind of thing. They could, you could potentially have someone that does that, that's so angry or something like that, they could do something like that, right? And then they quit the next day, and there they go, right? Um, Now, obviously, they could they could say, hey, this person quit. This could potentially be the person that sabotaged. But the other person could say, my name isn't on this at all. You can't blame me for any of it, because it's it's everybody's profile, right? So be careful with that. You know, don't don't have don't have the same user. Okay, check your knowledge with the following interaction in an application to manage an information technology business. Is hired as the company's first network technician. She needs access to a user interface that contains network diagnostic tasks and reporting features. How do you configure your application to support this requirement? Um, okay, create a new user using community's email address. Yep, that's obviously first step. Um, uh, this one doesn't really work because it's the company's first network technician. So this, you know, give Kamika the username and password for the existing technician user account. This is the first one, so this one doesn't really work. Okay. Create a new user using Kamika's email address and send her username and password. I mean, sure, but that doesn't necessarily work for the whole network technician, right? So, I mean, this this would be the base that you would probably want, okay? But it doesn't necessarily help with her user interface, for network diagnostic tasks and reporting features. So that one doesn't really work. Create a new persona named network technician, create a user account for Camilla, and send her the new persona. I mean, this could be potentially a good one to have. Um, okay. Um, Create a new user using Kamika's email address, which is good. Send an application invitation that prompts Kamika to select the network technician persona. There is no network technician persona because you haven't created it yet. So, so technically, this one is the best answer. So, yeah. So, if she was like the second network technician or something like that, and a network technician was or a persona was already created, then that first one would be perfectly fine. Okay. You could, like I said, you could get away with maybe doing the first one there and having her have access to the defaults and stuff like that. But, again, that might not necessarily have network diagnostic tasks or reporting features. So yeah, there you go. Let me go ahead and May suggest some edits here. Um, Alright, so two suggestions. First suggestion is about the CSR plus sign and how it doesn't show the full title of CSR within the window size. Second, there is a note that has a few best to remove one of the there. Saying it is doubled. All right. All right, so we'll go on to the module quiz. Three questions, easy enough. Identify the use case that requires creating a new role. A new application is created. Okay, that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to create a new role. So, and what is role? Do you mean new persona, new user? The permissions for an existing role are too limited for the work to be done. And that might work. An additional person needs to interact with an application? No, you don't. I'm assuming role is what they like, what they were originally called, what personas were originally called. So, matter of fact, let me go ahead and what is role in this question? Persona? User? I'm assuming persona, seeing they share similar meanings, but best to use the keywords presented within the previous topic. An additional combination of channel interface and permissions is necessary. Um, okay, you don't need a different channel interface for creating a new role. Okay, so while this one might be good, you know, um, you know um, the bare minimum of creating a new role would probably be permissions. So okay. All right, well, let me go with this one then. Technically, you shouldn't necessarily need a new interface to create a new role, but whatever. Okay, let's go with that one at the very least and see what happens. Drag each step from the left into the order required to invite the auditor as a new user on the right. Okay, so um, isn't this the correct order? um, you'd want to create the auditor role. You'd want to then create the web channel for that. Um, maybe, actually, it might be assign the auditor role to the new user and then, you know, make sure that their email address has like a different value for it, maybe. Let me try that. Apparently all of them are wrong. Okay, well, that's interesting. Um, what? That's odd. Okay. Maybe they want you to have the web channel first before the role, which doesn't really make any much sense, but and then we'll do email address prior to sending the auditor role to the new user. Let's find out. All right. Drag each phrase to where they're needed to complete the task. Okay. Create a role. Create a user. You'll want to supply a name, supply an email address, supply a role, but you want to supply a channel. Oh, okay. I guess supply a name for a role. I, I, I guess. I, hmm, Um, this one is this entire quiz is really rough. Okay, let's see. Apparently I got 100% that time. Okay, let's retry this again and let's see what their um a role allows interaction with a specific channel interface and can grant specific permissions within the channel interface. That's great, but you don't need a channel interface for a new role. So so I'm gonna suggest an edit here. A persona doesn't need to have a channel interface created for the new persona. They can still use a previous channel interface to work with what they need. I don't see how a persona slash role um, requires a new channel interface. Please revisit this question and reword. Okay. Let's see. Feedback. Yeah. Um, you know what? No. I would say I was thinking about like, hey, maybe reevaluate like um the use of name here um for creating a role because um name and user can be synonymous as well. Like, hey, I'm gonna give, John Smith a user or something along those lines. So, um, but at the same time, when you're creating a new user, all you're giving them is the email address and the role. You're not providing a name for the said user. Um, or are you? Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on. I want to go back here real quick. Select a user or add user by email address. So you could potentially use a name here under inviting a user. So um, here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take a screenshot of this here real quick. Okay, save that. Uh, no. Pega question 10. Okay. Suggest net it. The answer for create a role that is supply a name could also be interpreted as selecting a user or creating a new user. For example, in a screenshot that you had in your topic, it showed that the user could be added by either selecting a user already in application itself, or adding their email address. Took a screenshot of the image in question and attached. Okay. Suggest maybe a different word somehow for name in supply a name. Not sure what you might be able to use that doesn't align itself to user though. I wish you luck. Alright. Okay, so we have creating the web channel, creating the role, um, add the email address for the auditor, and assign the auditor role to the new user. I mean, this is both of these are pretty much exact same. It can be the exact same time. That's the problem with this one in particular. Okay, because if you look here, you know, I could set the user, the persona prior to even adding the email address in there. So technically, you know, um, I could be assigning the auditor role to the user, like, you know, prior to me, adding the email address, right? So, but I mean, I get what they're trying to go for here on adding the email address for the auditor and then it assigns the auditor role. I get it. Understood about that. What I'm not really understanding very much is the creating the auditor role and the auditor web channel, though. Because um, because wouldn't you want to have also, what is web channel, what is role here? Um, I'm assuming web channel is basically what they're referencing, the channel interface. So, and roles are also personas, right? So, um, user interfaces are also called channel interfaces because the needs of different users require access to different application features. You can configure different personas and channel interfaces. For example, in a healthcare application, patients and doctors must be able to perform different tasks. Patients can check records and schedule appointments. Doctors can review patient records. Um, Create additional personas when a unique combination of channel interface responsibilities, permissions, and work routing requires differentiation from an existing persona. You don't create the you don't create the channel prior to the persona. Right. You can modify the permissions and work queue and create and customize a dedicated channel interface. Okay. So this is I don't know what the heck is going on here. Here, let me once again I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Save this. Oh, fuck. Accidentally hit cancel on the save. There we go. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on in this question. First off, what is web channel? And what is role? Yeah, let me web. Yeah, web channel isn't even on this page. Persona or developer role. Yeah, that. Um, each persona created in App Studio has an associated role, but not every role has an associated persona. I I don't know. Neither of them are either addressed or addressed well in the previous topic. Second, you create the persona prior to creating a channel interface. If web channel is equal to channel interface, I can only assume at this point I'm specifically looking at the statement let's see. Um, oh, where was it? Um, um, there we go. I'm going to take all that and put that in there. Statements. Plus um, this. Now, I understand that you typically want to input the email address first. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't select the drop down for the specific persona first before adding the email address. So you could say that assigning the persona could be prior to the email address, but that is nitpicking. All right. Okay, so that's it for the module there. All right, so next one and next mission, or what we're going to be covering tomorrow, is the last challenge: creating users and roles in the low-code app builder extended. So, and then after that, we are going to be getting into the low-code app builder extended mission exercise, and then after that, the low-code app builder extended mission test after that. So, tomorrow is going to be a fairly short, well, maybe a fairly short challenge. We'll see. Hopefully, it won't be too bad, but you never know. It says that it's 10 minutes long, but it has 4 tasks, so we'll see. The mission exercise, they say 2 hours. I'm probably not going to be able to say much because last time I tried to do a mission exercise, I timed out. So I'm probably going to be trying to get through this fairly quickly on my own. Well, I'll still record it, but um, I may interject some critiques here and there on it. So just letting you guys know about that. And then of course you got the mission test, which is pretty much just like the module quizzes. So they don't really do they don't really change too much on the mission tests, to change things up from the module quizzes. So kind of wish that they did to kind of really test the waters a little bit more. But all right, so that's going to be it for this Pega study session. So hopefully you enjoyed that portion. I'm gonna go. Um, well, um, for those of you that are watching this later on YouTube, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this particular study session. Hopefully you got some. Um, hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully I helped you out in your continued studies. Feel free to, like I said, add any kind of comments, questions that you might have. I'll do the best that I can answering them, or um, I'll see about trying to find someone that can answer them. So yep, that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording right now.